The threats Canada faces, I'm Brian Lilly with the Rebel.media. The good news is that when it comes to the threats facing this country, we have some sanity inside the federal government. The bad news is that sanity isn't the part that's in charge of dealing with the illegal immigrant crisis, which continues to grow. So where do we find this sanity? Well, for now, at least it's at CSIS, where Director Michael Kalum has said that terrorism remains the greatest threat to Canada, especially ISIS, which he says continues to use social media to recruit fighters from places like Canada to join their cause overseas.
These extremists also pose a potential threat if they return to Canada. For instance, they may radicalize others, help with logistics and financing for those who may want to travel abroad, or engage in attack planning here in Canada.
Good point by Director Kalum, but given what we witnessed in the United States under Barack Obama and how they and the left pushed the idea that, well, it's right-wing extremists that are the real threat, we'll see if under Trudeau this lasts at CSIS or if they're soon claiming that non-existent groups like the white supremacists behind the Montreal bomb hoax are the ones that Trudeau forces CSIS to focus on. Now, while CSIS has sanity, the public safety department that they report to, the one headed up by Ralph Goodale, they don't. Goodale is still refusing to say there's a problem with illegal immigrants streaming across our border. I would say this is a problem on many fronts. Firstly, we've got people openly breaking the law and then being helped by Canadian officials. Secondly, we don't know who these people are, and once they get into Canada, it can be tough to get rid of them. We could be letting in war criminals, as Germany recently found out that they did in some cases. We could also just be letting in plain old criminals. Well, why is that a problem? Simply because the way our laws, the charter, and the courts work, once these folks get onto Canadian soil, it can be tough to get rid of them. Candice Malcolm tells the story of one man from Rwanda that the Canadian government has been trying to get rid of for years. He won't go. He won't sign papers to get his Rwandan travel documents, and therefore courts have ordered that he can't be deported, and neither, they say, can he be jailed, despite 54 convictions on 95 charges and more than 300 run-ins with the law for things like assault, sexual assault, carrying a concealed weapon. This man should be deported, but our system keeps him here. How much is this costing us? And how many people like this, denied legitimate refugee status in the United States, are now coming across our border to milk our system? It doesn't take too many for all of this to start costing us a fortune. In fact, even if they're not criminals, these illegal immigrants are costing us a fortune already. A report from the Auditor General of Canada found that each failed refugee claimant, which is what these people should end up as, well, they cost taxpayers $26,000. How much does each queue jumper cost if they get to stay? I couldn't tell you. It's likely more, though. Now, I've been adamant that these people coming across in BC and Manitoba and Quebec, they're not real refugees. They're not fleeing for their lives. They're not escaping persecution in the United States. There's no Roman gangs looking to kill people in Minnesota, no war in Washington state, no oppression in the Adirondacks. I mean, the biggest border crossing by numbers is from the Vermont-New York State area into Quebec, an area of the U.S. that's hosted the Olympics twice, hosted presidents at some grand cabins in the summer, a place where they elect Bernie Sanders repeatedly and have done so for decades. As I've said before, this is an area of the United States that people flee to, not from. So these are fake refugees. What will they be costing us? Well, it's tough to tell because the RCMP has decided, for political reasons, to play games with the numbers. They were giving weekly updates, now they're giving monthly updates. CBC originally reported a few weeks ago that more than 450 people had crossed into Quebec illegally in January alone. Now they say just 290 in Quebec, 94 in Manitoba, 51 in BC, for a total of 435. So let's go with that lower number. And we can safely assume that fake refugees that are turned down cost less than successful ones. So what's this costing us? Using the lower number of illegals and the figure of $26,000 provided by the Auditor General, we've got a figure of $11,310,000. And that number is going to keep growing. That's only for the illegals that crossed in the first 7 weeks. We have 45 weeks to go. And the next several months, well, the weather's going to get warmer. The number of illegals will increase unless the government does something. We've been calling them to do something for a while now with our No Illegals campaign. If you haven't done so yet, then please sign the petition at noillegals.ca. Then share the petition and this video on social media. If you've signed the petition already, then please share this video on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, so that your fellow Canadians can know what's going on. Most media outlets are cheering for the illegals. They want the government to let them walk in the front door so that they can tell off Donald Trump in a way. Like most sane Canadians, I say no to that. It makes a mockery of the rule of law. It makes a mockery of our already generous immigration and refugee system. And it won't end well for Canada. So please go now, sign the petition at noillegals.ca and send the government a message. That's noillegals.ca. If you like the video you just watched, make sure you never miss a Rebel video again. Just click here to subscribe or head on over to therebel.media and become a member.